To tell you about this piece, I really have to tell you my whole life story, but skip to me at about 60 and feeling, well, a little trapped. Running out of time, energy, getting stiff. I still have all these ideas. Suddenly, I have to face some limits. Around 2005, I made a subversive discovery that an ordinary t-shirt had a lot to say. They're like a second skin, tattooed with personal stuff. We can change them at a moment's notice, put on a new identity. So American. But when the stretchy cylinder of fabric is cut apart, it transforms into all kinds of unknown shapes and meanings. And if it's kept all in one piece, the new shape still refers back to the human being who wore it. Okay, I was hooked. The space I've been given for the Windsor Biennial is this corner, but it has that surveillance camera right up there. I start with the drawing, but then there's a struggle between the idea and what it takes to make it stay up. I like that struggle. Just to get started to see how the whole thing's going to feel in this corner, I pin the center in place. The fabric can take a sharp turn or even hang right there in midair when you tie it up with a piece of clear plastic fish line that's attached to the wall. The benefit of using a corner is there's so many ways to attach the fabric. It's almost like building a mobile or a puppet. When I make art, I'm doing a dance. I'm in a kind of a trance. To be really good, it should feel like a jazz improvisation. Part of the improvisation is getting the human scale right. I need to establish where the viewer and the artwork should meet eye to eye. The Greeks and Romans carved the human torso out of stone over and over, like it described the central essence of a person. T-shirts define our 21st century torsos. By cutting them up, I'm looking for the essence of what it means to be human today. Today we're more pressed for time, in a rush. We're chased by our own culture, under surveillance. Individuality is our measuring stick today. Freedom is our American ideal. But the converse of this freedom is the possibility of failure, and that brings isolation. You're on your own. In 2005, the war in Iraq started up and I felt engulfed by that chaotic story. The t-shirts started taking on characters from that drama. Then the material itself took over. The amount and flexibility became fascinating, and the pieces became architectural, turned into dances. The rough cut of the fabric was as wild as graffiti. One shirt could become anything, free, like a line. While I'm working, there's a constant conversation going on between me and the piece. How do the parts fit together? Does the material work? Does my idea come through? What's happening in the world? All this mixes together. One big challenge is to make the fabric end right where you want it. I think I'll make the end of the arm hover right in front of the surveillance camera like a spyglass. So I checked the drawing, and about halfway through, things seemed to be going pretty well. But then, I get a different idea, and I think, well, what if the top and the bottom weren't the same? What if, one arm was kind of flailing around and the other arm was trying to be directed and determined and orderly? The great thing about doing an improvisational piece, a temporary piece, is you can experiment. After all, you don't really know what it's going to be until you try it. This would be a completely different piece if the top and the bottom were so opposite. For this installation, I decide that my original idea is better, but now I've got another idea for a whole new piece. The concept for Cornered came from feelings of dread, from shrinking expectations, being trapped, really the reverse of freedom. What happens when we're backed into a corner? How do we behave? A corner is often unusable space and it goes to waste, but for this installation it was perfect. It could support the piece from 4 directions: the walls, ceiling, and floor. The format could be used over and over, and each time the composition would be completely new. These pieces tell a tale of our times, with cutbacks and layoffs, even losing your home. When there's nothing to fall back on, it takes inspired improvisation just to get by. So far, Cornered has been done 12 different times. I'm satisfied with the piece now, and I feel like it's a unique statement for this ongoing Cornered project. When a disembodied voice comes on, the piece is obstructing the surveillance camera. Is this art? My answer is that it allows me to show people from the inside out, from a very everyday point of view. People doing a beautiful improvisation with almost nothing.